To the story now, government says illegal miners at Shaft 11 at the Stillfontein Mine in the northwest are delaying their emergence as a tactic to avoid being arrested. A statement from the National Joint Operational and Intelligence Structure, also known as NATJOINTS, says evidence suggests that the miners have had access to food supplies until recently. This comes amid claims that those still underground have resorted to cannibalism to survive. NATJOINTS Chairperson, Lieutenant General Tebello Mosikili, says the retrieval process for Stillfontein is risky. Joining us to discuss the current developments at Stillfontein is crime analyst Chris Kock. Good evening, Chris. Thank you very much for joining us on the program. So this weekend, more illegal miners resurfaced, with some sharing more details on the conditions underground, with one specifically indicating that they're heavily armed kingpins still, who don't intend to surface anytime soon, meaning any retrieval operations could be dangerous for police. Your views on all of this?
Yeah, well, I mean, this thing is going on not maybe specifically at that mine, but for many, many years. I can remember I visited a mine in the Free State, the Harmony Mines, one of the high Harmony mines. And that was a situation, well, a good 20 years ago, and it's still the same. Now, it is very, very difficult. It is actually impossible for the police to go down the mine and to go and arrest those people. I mean, they are heavily armed. They have explosives, which they use down the mine, and they can use these explosives as booby traps. Mm-hmm. So the police will be literally put their life online if they go down the shaft. So the only thing they can do is to wait at the openings, at the mine openings, as the shaft openings, and then from there arrest people as they surface.
But can the standoff continue in perpetuity?
Cannibalism.
Pardon me for interjecting there, but can the standoff continue in perpetuity? Because right now you've got NGOs that have come on board. They're petitioning the court saying, I mean, we cannot, or at least they cannot continue to watch on because it's now fast turning into a humanitarian crisis because of the number of bodies that also resurface.
No, that's true, but you see, one has sympathy for these people. But on the other hand, they are down there illegally. They know it very well that they are there illegally. And they are kept against their will by heavily armed men, which was armed by syndicates. And this is it's a catch-22 situation. On the one hand, the law has to be applied. On the other hand, there is this humanitarian crisis. But the moment you send food and water down there, they will just continue mining forever. Mm-hmm. So this is a very catch-22 situation.
And you touch on the other element, which is the narrative that's also being perpetuated, that not only are there specific men who went there voluntarily, but there could have been those who were abducted and are there against their will. So in that instance, I suppose then it is that bit of a catch-22 where there are ones that would desperately need to be rescued while others are staying there voluntarily.
No, that's true. And the other thing is, on previous occasions when food and water was sent down there, we also heard the story that these heavily armed men, the overseers of what is going down there under the mine, the gold digging there, that these overseers took the food and said, no, you have to work for this food. If you don't work and if you don't get some gold, you're not going to get this food who was sent down by humanitarian purposes.
Mm-hmm. And then, Mr. de Kock, to the other worrying claims now that are being bandied about, that possibly some have resorted to cannibalism. What do you make of this? Because the police and others seem to have dismissed this and just said this is another scare tactic for more food to be sent down. Where do you stand on this one?
I haven't got your question 100%. You say?
Mm-hmm. Just the claims around cannibalism. Where do you stand on those?
It's shocking. It's very shocking. I hope it's not true. I hope this is just a story and that it is there to shock the police and the government into a position where they will send down food. because cannibalism is a bad thing. But it is possible. I mean, anything is possible when people are hungry, they don't have food. Then, we know of an air crash in the Andes many, many years ago, and those people were forced to cannibalism.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for sharing your views this evening. That's crime analyst Dr. Kock there, just sharing his views on the developments there at Stillfontein. But after the break, my colleague Bungi will be continuing this conversation. She'll be speaking to Macau, which has been petitioning the court to ensure that there's more access to food underground.